Welcome back. This is Kimile, and you're listening to Heal with Kimile podcast. Today, I want to talk about the autopilot ways we show up in life inside of relationships. And what people need to understand is that if you have unresolved issues or automatic ways of being that helped you cope with your childhood or something you went through in your past, you're going to be that same person inside of new relationships. So what do I mean by that? What are automatic ways of being? What is autopilot way of reacting? Well, here's some reactions or here's some responses to people that have had trauma, for example. So if you over apologize, if you say you're sorry multiple times, if you're always saying you're sorry, and you know people like this, you've got people in your friend circle that just say they're sorry all the time. It's like they are tiptoeing around to avoid conflict, or they're trying to please people because they don't want to get in trouble. So that's a response to something in the past that was traumatic for them, and they don't want to relive that. So it's an automatic way of making sure they don't create upsets. They're apologizing all the time. Another way of dealing with potential issues from the past is people can't receive compliments. They have a hard time just saying, thank you. I think you look good. Thank you. I appreciate that. They have a hard time just taking on that love and support. So if someone around you, if you have a hard time receiving compliments, it could be a trauma response from something in your past. It might be that you can't outshine anybody else because you got in trouble for outshining, or you don't want to make people feel bad, or if they get mad at you because you look too good. I've had mothers be jealous of their daughters before. How crazy is that? And so the daughters can't look better than the moms. And if they did, they got in trouble. So that's another way that we automatically deal with our trauma from our past. Number 3 is avoiding asking for help. They just don't ask for help. They'll carry all the bags in from the grocery store. They pay everything themselves. They clean the whole house. They don't want to be a burden. These people don't want to, take advantage of anyone, or anyone think that they would be taking advantage of them. So they avoid asking for anyone just to help them out. They don't think they deserve that. Another way of automatically responding to trauma inside of new relationships is over-explaining, justifying yourself. This is why I did that. This is why I did that. Long text messages explaining your motive, explaining and trying to justify why you did what you did, but you're always feeling guilty. You're feeling like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or I'm afraid to, get that person mad at me. I've got to tell them. I've got to explain that. I had a client ask me today, should I call and let them know and let them know and let them know? I said, no, you're not going to make a difference. It's not going to matter. It's just going to put you in a weaker position. And this person's already knowing that they're lying or whatever they're doing. So you calling and explaining over and over doesn't help your cause. I think when people defend themselves all the time like that, it's a sign of insecurity and weakness. And so I would say, don't over-explain, don't over-justify your behavior, or tell people why you feel the way you feel. Your feelings are valid. You can say what you feel and what you think, they're valid. Another way we automatically respond if we've had some trauma in relationships is we are hyper independent. So we don't want help. We are prideful in not needing help. We help everybody else, but we're uncomfortable receiving. And usually this stems from maybe someone letting you down. You don't want someone to let you down. And if you don't let people get too close to you, or you don't rely on them, then they can't let you down because you don't let them close to you. They don't let you in. I do have a dear client that has this issue, and she is super accountable, always paying the bill, making sure she's not a burden to anybody, and she lives alone. What she wants more than anything is a family. She wants to belong. She wants a husband. But I find that we're talking a lot with her about being this hyper-independent person, and even she needs support financially. She needs people she would like someone to come in and kind of help her and just kind of, coexist with her, but she doesn't want to, be a burden. So I think she would tend to pay their way. She has in the past. So this is also a trauma response when you feel like you're a burden. There's another one, overthinking and analyzing every conversation, every text, like you just can't let it go. It's like that fight is replaying over and over. And I should say this, I should send that message. But you're constantly running these conversations through your head. And then you even ask other people, does this sound right? Does this sound wrong? I have a young client that I'm dealing with this very specific issue, and she just doesn't have the confidence to really hold her boundaries and speak her mind. She's afraid people are going to judge her, and she's working on that. But these are all ways people have these automatic ways of being. And so when you've had something go wrong in the past, you're reliving it. You're going through that again. I got a few more. Hold on. Another way is people pleasing. You want to make sure people are pleased with you. You go out of your way. You're inconvenienced. You spend money that you don't really have, or you want to make sure you're impressing that person. So you are overdoing it, right? And that's to keep the peace. And it's also a way for you to feel like you're worthy to them. You're trying to maybe impress them and make them feel like you're valuable. Feeling guilty for relaxing. Do you feel guilty for relaxing and chilling out? Because if you do, you must have only been valued for your productivity or your contribution. You can't be lazy. So I probably have a little bit of this. I'm a farm girl, and man, when the farm requires a lot of energy. So literally you can't just do nothing. You have to work. You have to keep working because there's always work on the farm. But it's almost like you have to earn your love. You have to earn respect. You have to earn your keep, so to speak. Difficulty setting boundaries, whether saying no or asking for a safe space or asking for someone to listen to your feelings, just you don't matter. Like you just have a hard time telling people no. So saying yes is a way to keep that peace, and then you don't have to deal with them being disappointed in you, which is probably what happened in the past. But that's not sustainable. Being a pleaser and telling people yes all the time and going out of your way, like at some point it does come across inauthentic, doesn't it? It does seem like they're trying to compensate. All these behaviors are a way of compensating, dealing with something difficult in the past that they haven't fully worked through. And a lot of these behaviors are automatic. People just don't even see that they're doing them. I know a couple that it really did bother. Young people, young gay couple, they get married. And one of the partners, we'll call him Jeff. Jeff's a pleaser. Everyone loves him, throws great parties, makes great meals. Just, the house is clean. Everything's beautiful. And his partner, Nicholas, just can't keep up, doesn't want to keep up. But Nicholas is very popular, has a lot of people around him. People are always coming over to socialize and hang out. And Jeff is always just wowing them. They go on a vacation and he's indulging them and setting up excursions. And this guy just knows what he's doing. But it's really annoying Nicholas because it does seem like he's either trying to steal his friends or buy their affection. And when I sat down with both of them, it really is a trauma response because he's so desperate to belong. He wants to have this partnership so desperately. He's making sure that they won't abandon him or they won't think that he's unworthy. So he's got a religious upbringing that he was shamed a lot. So he's trying to make sure he's useful. When you sit and talk to people about why they're doing these compensating behaviors, and they don't even know they're doing it sometimes, you got to point it out to them. But why are they doing these compensating behaviors? It's because they're trying to make sure that abandonment or whatever happened in the past doesn't keep happening to them. So it's a way of proving that they're worthy. But people like this that are always compensating, they typically tend to bump into narcissistic takers, like people that will take advantage of their need to please. I eventually find some of these clients that come to my office and they're just so broke down, they're so beat up, and they've been taken advantage of, they've been stolen from, they've been cheated on. There's so many things that they go through because they couldn't set boundaries. They couldn't say no. They couldn't fight for themselves. All of these automatic way of handling life is really basically where you cannot fight for you. You don't think you matter. Your worth is not that great. It's not that high. And then eventually this all comes home to roost because you have to at some point advocate for yourself. Know that you are worthy and love yourself. You can't keep stuffing down your feelings, holding things in, not expressing your upsets or even asking for your needs to get met inside of an intimate relationship forever. You just can't keep doing that. They always say suppressed feelings come back in uglier ways. Whether you get sick, whether you just lose your shit one day, you just could, blow up. Again, emotions are supposed to be expressed and talked about. And if you're inside of a healthy, loving, intimate relationship, you should be able to be you. And they should be able to be themselves. And you're loved because you are you. You're not loved because of what you're bringing or doing or compensating or pleasing. Those are great things. But ultimately, if you're in an intimate relationship and that person loves you, they want to know you, get close to you, and be able to just know your feelings and know your boundaries. That's also a turn on, really, to have people communicate their needs and their wants and their desires and to be shameless about it. That there's a confidence in that, yeah, I do matter and this is what I'd like and this is what I'm striving for. And people are popular when they're able to dominate, so to speak. I've got another client that I'm thinking about, and his name's Joe. And he is still taking care of his mother after 30 years. He's been basically celibate. He hasn't been able to date. And he's met the love of his life. He wants to get married to this man. And his mother is just a constant, needy. She's scared to death. For sure, she's scared to death. She's never lived without Joe. Joe's taken care of her. Her husband passed away, so her son took care of her, which I admire. I respect. That's integrity. That's a good son. But now he's met the love of his life and he wants to get married. And they're willing to move her in with him. They're willing to buy a home that accommodates all of them. And she now wants this big dog, or she wants to have a separate kitchen, or this woman hasn't worked, mind you, so she's not paying for any of this. But it's just really interesting to watch this dynamic and how Joe has really no boundaries with his mom. So, if he's going to be with the love of his life, and the love of his life's not being a jerk, but he's like saying, look, dude, I'm willing to accommodate to a point, but she does not want him to run off and marry this guy. She's livid. She wants to keep what she's got. So working through that, navigating that, he's going to have to start setting some boundaries, Joe is, and telling mom no. And that's going to take some time for her to get used to that. But some people throw big fits. Adults throwing a temper tantrum is the ugliest thing you've ever seen. And people go through so much crap with that. Let me look here if there's anything else about people and their automatic way of being when they're dealing with something they're compensating for in their past. They dismiss their own feelings. They say things like, it's no big deal. I got it. It's all right. It doesn't bother me, when something like a betrayal should bother you. But people that are stuffing their pain down, they just don't want it. They don't want it to come up. Worrying about being too much for people. Oh, I'm always too much, or I'm not enough. Like there's a constant fear that they're not going to please people that they're with. And then fear of abandonment. At some point, they're going to figure out who I am, and they're not going to like me, or they're going to leave me because, I'm not worth staying with. I find this with people that finally get in a relationship that they want to be in, and they can't relax. They can't settle in. They may create drama. They may create some sort of scene, or they're always wanting to pick a fight because they don't feel safe. They just can't relax. Because relaxing, it's like the other shoe's going to drop. And at some point, they're going to leave. So they're always 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So that's a trauma response as well, as they don't trust. They really just don't trust the peace. They don't trust the quiet. They got to keep making noise. So that's one way. And then let's see here, overworking. I think a lot of men do this, but they overwork to prove that they are worthy. And that kind of, it assuages this inadequacy feeling probably when they accomplish and they've got stuff. And so that's their claim to fame. So if they ever retire, if they ever lose their position in life, if their status falls, they don't even know who they are because they don't have a balance in their life. Their work is everything to them. That is their identity. So some of these ways of being is again, it's all compensating for what you went through when you were younger. And you may not even know that you're doing it. You may not even know that this is how you're acting or that you're compensating for anything. But what happens inside of a relationship is you get what you allow and you get what you're, letting people do to you. So if you can't have boundaries and push back, and if you're always the person saying yes and you can't say no, that's going to annoy some people, by the way. That'll be considered a bad thing because they're on to you. They're on to you and they don't want you to just keep taking crap. I will tell you that there are some clients and some friends and stuff. If you have a friend like this, those people that are always pleasing, they can get annoying. So if you're a pleaser, it can bother people that love and care about you because they love and care about you more than you love and care about yourself. So they want for you what you don't want for yourself, which is to be valued and loved and adored. And every battered woman that I've ever worked with has this type of trauma response. It's almost as if they take the pain, if they let that guy hurt them or cheat on them or hit them or rob them or whatever, if they allow the abuser, a lot of times they're in abusive relationships, they allow the abuser to abuse them, it's almost showing the abuser that they can be trusted. Doesn't that sound a little off? But it's true. It's like, they're willing to love them and accept them no matter what they do to them, right? So this is a dangerous situation because at some point the abuser can just go off and be crazy, but you're compensating and you're proving to the abandoner in your childhood that you're never going to leave them. And you'll take whatever they're going to dish out because abandonment is the worst thing that could happen to them. They would put up with anything as long as you don't leave them. That is untenable at some point, and it's got a lot of people hurt. But if you're dealing with something like this and you're compensating and you're just never relaxing, you're never able to settle in and really get your needs met, or I know you're meeting their needs because you're the pleaser, but are they meeting your needs? And if you're always feeling just anxious and jittery and you just can't relax and don't trust the love, this is probably something you're dealing with called a trauma response. And it's probably from being hurt in your past as a child. It's my forte. It's what I like to do, is have these conversations and kind of help people figure this stuff out. If any of the conversation I have with you sounds like it could be useful in your life, you can get a hold of me at healwithkimile.com, HEAL with KIMILE.com. Thank you, and take care of yourself.